Here's Dr. Ben Carson on CNN.
You think they have control over their sexuality?
Absolutely.
You think being gay is a choice?
Absolutely.
Why do you say that?
Because a lot of people who go into prison straight, and when they come out, they're gay. So did something happen while they were in there?
Well, tonight, Carson is apologizing, saying that his words did not fully reflect his stance on gay issues. In a statement, here's what he writes. He says, "I do not pretend to know how every individual came to their sexual orientation. I regret that my words to express that concept were hurtful and divisive. For that, I apologize unreservedly to all that were offended."
And he's also mentioned that he doesn't want to talk about the issue anymore. Although if he's going to run for president, it's going to keep coming up. And for Christians as well, it's something that cannot be avoided. It's going to keep coming up. So really what the spirit of what the interviewer, Chris Cuomo, was at is, does Ben Carson believe that gay people are born that way, or that it's a choice? This is always the dichotomy that is sort of outlined in our culture. And it's a false dichotomy. There's a third option. It could be that people develop their sexual orientation, which is what the Psychiatric Association tells us, the American Psychiatric Association, that some people believe that sexual orientation is innate or fixed. However, sexual orientation develops across a person's lifetime, which makes sense because our intellect develops over a lifetime, our personality develops over a lifetime, and our sexuality develops over a lifetime as well. And so, and no one really knows. Right on the Association of the Gay and Lesbian Psychiatrists, directly quoting the American Psychiatrist, is that no one knows what the cause of homosexuality, bisexuality is. So, and it really doesn't matter, as we are going to see later in the video. So if someone ever asks you, hey, is it a choice? They're just trying to lure you in. Really, this Dr. Carson has just been berated as being ignorant and stupid. Oh, he's a smart neurosurgeon. How could he say these things? And that's really what the interviewer was luring him into, and he just stepped right into it. Simple thing to avoid. It's neither born or a choice. It develops over time. As far as does prison, as he was making his point, does prison prove choice? No. There's also the misconception that people's sexuality is either straight, gay, or bisexual, and you're like in one of these three boxes. But it's more like a scale where people can be somewhere on or in between. Many people go to prison and are never involved in a same-sex relationship at all. They just can't. They just are not attracted at all. Others, on the outside, when there's plenty of opposite-sex people to be in relationship with, they just never gave it a second thought. Maybe because they fall somewhere, maybe they're 75% straight, and they go to prison, and of course there's no opposite-sex people there anymore, and so, but they discover that they can be attracted to the same sex, and since that's all that's there, they engage in those relationships. And so you might say, well, see, that was their choice to get in it. Well, that's not the spirit actually that the question was asked. Yes, it's a choice, whatever relationships are involved in, but really what they're getting at is, what is their orientation? What is their brain telling them who they're attracted to? That's really what they're after. And it doesn't really even matter either way. Let's take a look at Sally Cohn here. She's a lesbian woman, and she's going to go ahead and confirm that no one knows, and it doesn't matter, and I think she's right about that.
I mean, look, here's my point, and I wrote a piece about this today saying that I agree with Dr. Carson sort of. Look, I don't think this isn't to me a practical issue of, let's parse every gay person, every straight person in America, and sort of when was their sexual identity formed? Was it in utero? Was it in kindergarten? Was it in college? Or is Orange the new black and prisons are the new women's colleges? I'm a little confused there, but
yeah, me too.
To me, that's not the issue. The issue is what should be in the future. And in my case, in my vision for the future, I hope all of our vision for the future, if it is fully, morally, socially, culturally, and politically equal, 1,000% equal to be gay, then by conclusion, it should be 1,000% perfectly fine to choose to be
Excuse me.
gay, whether or not an individual chooses to or not.
And I think she's right about that, especially the part where she says morally. And it doesn't even need to be 1,000% equal. If it's just that if same-sex relationships are morally good, then they're acceptable. But in the case for both Christians and even some that are not, they find that these relationships are not moral. And it's not bigoted or hateful or anything to say that. Certainly plenty of gay people find certain relationships to be immoral between, say, family members, incest, or with children and these type of things. And you might say, oh, well, that's not their sexual orientation. Well, it doesn't matter. It just matters whether that relationship is moral. Morality is such a powerful concept that it overrides everything else. If you don't find something to be moral, then you simply can't approve of it. And my last point is that it's simply counterproductive. Really, at the beginning of this interview, the interviewer just set Dr. Carson up for a fall when he asked this question. When you answer with the answer of choice, you're just playing right into folks' hands. They're immediately going to think that you're ignorant, that you don't know what you're talking about. Dr. Carson has just been lambasted in the media and on the internet about how stupid he was for saying this. And you're going to be looked at the same way. You already are if you don't agree that same-sex relationships are equal. And so the way not to have that be painted in that light is not to say that's a choice. I know for a lot of folks that you want to say that, but it's not really true. I mean, especially in the past, people have endured much persecution and many hardships for coming out as gay, and if it was just a free will choice, they wouldn't have done that. They would have gone the easy route and just chosen to be straight. But for whatever reason, like I said, we don't know exactly why. But that's the way they feel. That doesn't mean that just because you feel that way, it makes it okay. And we can all agree with this. We all have feelings that we don't act on because we know they're not morally right. And so don't fall for the choice trap. Get informed. And then when you're asked such questions, you can give a reasonable response with gentleness and respect.